especially in Q4, driven clearly by milk products. Is this a result of benign sort of input prices as far as milk, etc. is concerned? Or have you seen demand ticking up? Can you give us a sense of what has clicked?
Look, I think, overall the domestic sales at 9% and the overall sales at 9.3%, we believe has been a credible performance. And I want to thank all the partners, distributors, farmers, consumers, everyone, and my employees too, for this performance under very challenging circumstances. The growth has been kind of secular. Milks and nutrition have had very encouraging growth, but so has prepared dishes. The 9% has about 4 to 5% of volume growth, and the prepared dishes category, which is Maggi, has got a higher volume growth than that, almost at 6% plus. So therefore, it has been milks and nutrition and prepared dishes. And the other contributor, which is albeit at a low single digit, which is chocolates and confectionery, is on a base of 25% growth in this comparable quarter last year. So despite a very high base, it has still grown very well. And also coffee and beverages has performed extremely well during this quarter. And the out-of-home business, which is Nestle Professional as we call it, has also had a strong double-digit growth during the quarter. So it's been kind of to varying degrees, but has been secular growth across the company.
And do you see this sustaining in terms of, I'm trying to understand what the rural demand sort of pattern has been, and do you see this sustaining considering now you will be seeing headwinds in terms of input costs, coffee prices, cocoa prices, etc. Hot summer, that means milk prices also likely to go up?
Look, I think at the moment milk prices are stable, wheat prices outlook is stable, oils are stable. The one where there is runaway inflation is cocoa and coffee, and one is trying to see how best to mitigate to avoid serious price increases in them, because we are back to volume growth now, and I don't want to compromise it by taking sharp price increases. Rural has a relatively smaller play for us, Tamanna, about 20% of our business, but has been growing quite well despite the current context. We still have double-digit growth in rural markets, and that's because of the relatively lower level of penetration. We are still in the game of expanding our village distribution. Almost 200,000 villages is what we reach now, from a comparable of about 20,000 odd villages a couple of years ago. And I think distribution expansion, penetration, and building scale is giving us relatively good growth there. The inflation context, we hope, remains relatively stable. Food inflation has been high, and that has been one of the reasons why the consumption economy also has not done as well as it should have. But I think going forward with a good monsoon, I believe that we should be, and with a new government in place, with more policies on spurring consumption, we might be on to better times ahead.
Okay, so my big takeaway from there that no increase in coffee, cocoa prices, you're not passing them on for now. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. But let me come to you on sort of the hot potato issue.
It'll all depend on how it evolves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me come to you on the hot potato issue of baby food and the sugar in baby food. Now, this survey showed that the same baby food in some nations is lower than in India. Now, you have said in your press conference that you are sticking to what FSSAI guidelines are. Having said that, is there a different quantum of sugar in baby foods in India versus some other countries, Europe, etc.?
Look, I think firstly, the whole issue on baby food needs to be looked at in terms of three perspectives. One is that there is a globally set guideline, globally set, it's not for India alone or for Europe alone, globally set guideline on what should be the protein, fat, carbohydrate, delivery per feed to the infant below 18 months should be. So that's a globally set guideline. So for example, protein levels are at about 15%. Our Cerelac contains about 15% in terms of the energy delivery. You got fats at about 20 to 30%. Our Cerelac has got 9.4% fat, which translates into 20% of total energy. Vitamins, minerals, there are 10 vitamins and 4 minerals, and these are neutral in terms of calories. Carbohydrates, we need about 50 to 70% should come from the energy of carbohydrates. Carbohydrate is where total sugar comes. Total sugar is divided into two parts. One is sugar that occurs naturally because of the ingredients. So milk brings in lactose, wheat brings in glucose, and similarly there is fruit juices and fruit purees that bring in fructose. So there is a naturally occurring sugar, which is the majority of the sugar. And in the context of India, the FSSAI, which looks at not just Indian conditions but also looks at Codex standards. So please don't ever think that our regulator is in isolation. They're looking at global standards as well. They have got a ruling that says that sucrose can be added if it meets up to 20% of the carbohydrate requirement of the feed. Now that translates into something like 13.6 grams per 100 grams of feed. The Nestle product has got 7.1, so it's got less than 50% or just about 50% of the amount of sugar.
Does it have more than other nations? Does it have more than, say, what is sold in Germany?
Well, each country has their own. There are parts of the world that have got more as well and less as well. So it all depends on that's why I explained to you the nutrition content delivery of the product is as important as what goes into it. So if my feed was giving less than what is given by a comparable feed in Europe, then you can say that you are shortchanging the children in India. That's not the case.
Okay.
That's not the case. So therefore, I think, and even added sugar, in the last 5 years, we have made an improvement of 30%. And the journey still continues to reduce it even further as we go forward.
So just to understand, because there was a lot of consternation on this, and people who are, want to feed their babies are trying to look at this as an issue of, is it harming? So you're saying that in the context of what India allows, this is more than enough. Is this also because you have cases of malnutrition in Indian children and they need that content delivery? So this is not any kind of unfair treatment?
Look, I know, firstly, the nutrition requirement that is calibrated globally. So we are assuming that the Indian child needs as much as the European child. Now, what you're stating is only adds to the problem of malnutrition or various other things, which means that the babies basically need energy-dense foods. That is the hard truth. So energy-dense foods, because of the growth spurt, they need that. Now, here we are having added sugar, but that added sugar also is well within. That's why even the FSSAI has put it in place. Codex allows it. So therefore, it's not that, we should not be conflating this with larger sugar issues that pertain as far as various other product categories are concerned.
Okay.
This is a limited amount that is given. A small.
I'll take that last one because I know, I have limited time with you. On the question of the larger sugar issue, some companies now have to reword their health drinks as fitness drinks. As an FMCG major who also sells an energy drink, now, is there a need for more transparency, for rebranding, and for telling consumers in India especially that what they're having is not necessarily healthy?
Look, I think, at Nestle we believe there is nothing called good nutrition and bad nutrition. It's all about balanced nutrition. There are no extremities in nutrition. I think a portion controlled bite of chocolate or of any of the other drinks doesn't do you harm, provided you don't exploit it and you don't take too much quantities of it. In the last 10 years, 5 to 10 years, we ourselves as a company, Nestle in India, is part of the Eat Right campaign, which is sponsored by the FSSAI, and we have made reductions in sugar by about 10 to 15% of equivalent amount of fat and sodium. So this is an ongoing journey. The journey must ensure, Tamanna, that we are able to give palatable products, tasty products, but with lower levels of sugar, lower levels of fat, lower levels of stuff that is not necessarily good for you in large quantities. But the more important issue is, I think this is an education process. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. Suddenly saying that cut this out and cut that out is going to be only more detrimental to the cause of more balanced nutrition as we go forward.
Okay, thank you so much for your time and for speaking with us. Suresh Narayanan, CMD of Nestle India, speaking not only on their numbers, but also the issues of added sugar, largely in baby foods was the big headline, but across all packaged foods as well. Thank you, sir, for your time.